Welcome to Part 7 of PIPA's Retirement Benefits Training for Employers. In this section, we will cover death claims. In this presentation, we will cover the types of death claims, active members, inactive members, and working and non-working retirees. Additionally, we will cover the types of death claims payments, refunds of contributions, or monthly survivor annuity, and the poor's accidental death benefit. Finally, we will cover State ORP benefits as well as beneficiaries. For the death claim process to begin, people must be aware of a member's passing. We find this out in many ways, including from employers, the member's family and friends, the Social Security Administration, DHEC, obituaries, and funeral homes. If you know of the death of a member, please contact us. After we receive notification of a death, the employer and the beneficiary must take action. Employers should complete the final payroll certification in EES if the member is active and their account is not finalized. The beneficiary should provide PIBA with a certified copy of the member's death certificate. After that, and once the claim has been processed, the beneficiary must also complete and return payment forms. Let's look at the types of death claims. An active member death claim is one in which the deceased member was on a covered employer's payroll and making member contributions at the time of death. Beneficiaries of active members may be eligible for a refund of the member's contributions plus interest, a monthly survivor benefit, an incidental death benefit, and, in certain cases, a poor's accidental death program benefit. An inactive member death claim is one in which the deceased member was no longer working for a covered employer and therefore not making member contributions. Beneficiaries of inactive members may be eligible for a refund of the member's contributions and interest or a monthly survivor benefit. The latter option is possible if the member was eligible for service retirement on the date of their death. A working retiree death claim is one in which the deceased member was on a covered employer's payroll and making member contributions at the time of death. The working retiree's beneficiaries will be entitled to payment according to the retiree's payment option at retirement and may be entitled to the active member incidental benefit payment. Finally, a non-working retiree member death claim is one in which the deceased member was retired and not in service with a covered employer at the time of death. Their beneficiaries will be entitled to payment according to the retiree's payment option at retirement and may be entitled to the retired member incidental benefit payment. Now, let's look at the types of death claim payments. In the case of an SCRS refund payment, the beneficiary will receive the balance of the member's account, which includes the member's contributions plus interest. In the case of a poor's refund payment, the beneficiary will receive the balance of the member's account or $1,000, whichever is more. This $1,000 minimum payment provision applies only when a member dies in service. The refund payment is due to the beneficiary if the decedent's account balance has not been exhausted through monthly benefit payments to the member or any survivorship beneficiaries. The refund amount payable is not impacted by the member's age or service credit. To determine whether a monthly benefit is payable in the case of an active member in service death, the following eligibility criteria apply. For a Class II member, they must have no less than 5 years of earned service credit and either have at least 15 years of total service credit or have been at least age 60 at the time of death. A Class III member must have at least 8 years of earned service credit and either have 15 years or more of service credit or have been at least age 60 at the time of death. These requirements are the same for SCRS or poor's members, except the eligible age for poor's members is 55 instead of 60. Incidental death benefit coverage is required for state agencies, public higher education institutions, and public school districts. Other employers can opt to participate in the program if they wish. If they do choose to participate, it is permanent and cannot be revoked. Employers pay for this coverage in its entirety. Active member incidental death benefit payments are equal to the deceased member's current annual salary. A member must have at least 1 year of earned service for this benefit to be payable unless the member's death is the result of a job-related injury. Another requirement is that the death must occur within 90 days of the member earning compensation in a regular pay status. An incidental death benefit may also be available for SCRS and PORS retirees. In the case of non-working retirees, their last employer must have had coverage prior to the member's date of retirement. In the case of working retirees, their current employer must have had this coverage at the time of the retiree's death. For working retirees, people will pay the equivalent of the working retiree's salary or the non-working retiree incidental death benefit, whichever is more, if the retiree is eligible. As we noted earlier, for a working retiree to receive the active member benefit payment, the death must have occurred within 90 days of the member having earned compensation in a regular pay status. For a non-working retiree, the incidental death benefit is tied to the amount of service credit the member had at retirement. For SCRS retirees who had 10 to 19 years of service at retirement, the benefit is $2,000. If they had 20 to 27 years, it is $4,000. If they had 28 or more years of service, the benefit is $6,000. The non-working retiree incidental death benefit for PORS differs depending on class. For Class 2 PORS retirees who had 10 to 19 years of service at retirement, the benefit is $2,000. If they had 20 to 24 years, it is $4,000. If they had 25 or more years of service, the benefit is $6,000. For Class 3 PORS retirees who had 10 to 19 years of service at retirement, the benefit is $2,000. If they had 20 to 26 years, it is $4,000. If they had 27 or more years of service, the benefit is $6,000. It is important to note that for members who last worked for optional employers, they must have had incidental death benefit coverage prior to the member's date of retirement for this benefit to be payable. Incidental death benefits are not available to non-active state ORP members, inactive members, or members whose employer did not offer coverage. The incidental death benefit is taxable. The beneficiary will be subject to state and federal income taxes. PEBA automatically withholds 20% for federal taxes. A beneficiary can request that additional taxes, including state taxes, be withheld. Let's now turn to the PORS Accidental Death Program. This coverage is required for state agencies, public higher education institutions, and public school districts. Optional employers can opt into this program, but they are not required to do so. If they do choose to participate, their participation is permanent and cannot be revoked. The employer alone pays for this coverage. The Accidental Death Program provides a monthly survivor benefit if the covered member's death occurs while performing a hazardous task specific to his employment in the actual performance of duty. In addition, the death must not have occurred as the result of willful negligence on the part of the member. The Accidental Death Program monthly benefit is paid to the survivor's spouse if married for the rest of their life. If the member has no spouse or the spouse dies before the youngest child turns 18, the monthly benefit would be divided equally among the surviving children until age 18 or death, whichever occurs first. If the member has no spouse or no child under the age of 18, the benefit is payable to the member's surviving parents for life. A retired member's death benefit depends entirely upon the payment option the retiree chose at retirement. In the case of option A, the beneficiary receives a refund of any remaining member contributions not exhausted through the payment of monthly benefits. For option B, the beneficiary receives the same reduced monthly benefit the retiree drew prior to death. For option C, the beneficiary receives 1/2 of the reduced monthly benefit the retiree drew prior to death. Now let's take a look at state ORP benefits. The active incidental death benefit payment for an active state ORP participant is equal to the deceased participant's current annual salary. A participant must have at least 1 year of service for this benefit to be payable unless the participant's death is the result of a job-related injury. Another eligibility requirement is that the death must occur within 90 days of the participant earning compensation in a regular pay status. For a distribution from a state ORP account upon a participant's death, the participant's beneficiary must file a claim directly with the participant's state ORP service provider. Finally, let's discuss beneficiaries. When a beneficiary is eligible for a death benefit, PIBA mails Form 4151, Election of Death Benefits. If there are multiple beneficiaries, all must choose the same payment option on the Election of Death Benefits form if eligible. Death benefits are divided equally among multiple beneficiaries. When an estate is named as the beneficiary or it becomes the beneficiary by default, the trustee receives a refund of the member's contributions and interest and, when applicable, any incidental death benefit payment. The trustee is required to submit either a certificate of appointment for the personal representative or an affidavit for collection of personal property, either of which would have been received from a probate court. Estates cannot receive a monthly benefit payment from a defined benefit plan such as SCRS or PORS. This presentation does not constitute a comprehensive or binding representation of the employee benefit programs PIBA administers. The terms and conditions of the employee benefit programs PIBA administers are set out in the applicable statutes and plan documents and are subject to change. Benefits administrators and others chosen by your employer to assist you with your participation in these employee benefit programs are not agents or employees of PIBA and are not authorized to bind PIBA or make representations on behalf of PIBA. Please contact PIBA for the most current information. The language used in this presentation does not create any contractual rights or entitlements for any person.